All right. So everyone, I got a special guest for this hot take video, and it's going to be the Angel One himself. Say hello, say whatever you need, say whatever you want.
What's going on, everybody?
Alrighty.
I got a
So
better mic this time.
he hit me up and was like, "Yo, let me be in it," and I was like, "You know what? Fine, I'm all right with that." So shoot, I don't care. Anyways, join the Discord. Link's always in the description, and we're just gonna get into this one because I don't have much to really say for the start. All right, so here we go. So the first one is by Mike, and they said there was no reason for Evelyn or Experiment to exist. I don't even know why the devs wanted to add them when all they're doing is just delaying them from finishing up Star Eater. Now this obviously was before we got Star Eater. Obviously, I can
hmm
tell, but I can see what you mean because again, it happened. This is I was actually saying this, and a lot of people were agreeing with me in one of my videos. They were when I mentioned how we got Evelyn and the rat, which we didn't ask for them. Like I'm glad we got more characters, yes, more content, but that's not the content we were advertised. We weren't asking for that. So
Yeah, it did
you're
come out of
delaying it
nowhere.
exactly. So
I,
you're like
I
sitting there
feel
just delaying it.
I felt like they released the Evelyn's an experiment. I don't think that they just came out of nowhere because like they had a bunch of it seems like well prepared. Like, oh, they could have been released as like their own chapter, whatever the case may be. So
Right.
I don't think it was exactly like out of nowhere in a sense where they just strung it up. But I feel like they released it because, they were just having so much time. They were delaying Star Eater so much that like they need to put something out.
Which
And
may yeah,
that
that makes
something
sense.
was Experiment and Evelyn. And
Like we
since
saw that with
those two
Evelyn too.
characters
Yeah, go
since
ahead,
those
go
two
ahead.
characters were basically ready to go, like they had voice actors and everything, it was just easy for them to release it and be like, hey, I mean, and they did drop sort of a trailer on their YouTube. I don't know if people noticed that it kind of alluded to a new killer, like which was the experiment in their YouTube, but not many people actually like saw it at all.
Yeah, and on top of that, Evelyn was the first character to release so far in Daybreak 2 without having a PTS at all, and it went perfectly fine. So I think that yeah, like you were saying, they just needed to release something because we've been waiting for Star Eater for so long. So they did that. And then I remember Brenda mentioning how she made the reason of her making the rat was because everybody kept saying that Star Eater looked like a Genshin character. So Brenda was like, you know what? Fine, I want to make a really ugly character. And then she made the rat. And so I guess that's where some people were a little bit upset when she said that because it's just like, you just put that more time into this killer. But I mean, clearly it didn't seem to be that bad because we got the experiment not too long after Evelyn, anyways. So,
Yeah. I
and
will say that well, sorry. I will say when it comes to like the rat, I mean, no, the criticizing of Star Eater, I think she took the joke way too seriously. It's a joke, all right. Genshin
yeah,
like obviously, yeah, it looks like a Genshin character, but it's not to like be dwelling about it. It just happens.
yeah, we were like, it's literally was just a joke. We didn't hate the design. I think Star Eater looks pretty cool, if
Yeah,
you
it was a
ask
good
me.
design, but
Yeah,
like
like
it was a
genuinely.
funny joke.
Exactly. Like you can't deny that he definitely looked like one. All right. So okay, so let's go ahead and get to the next one. So the next one says the game is really repetitive and the characters are just eh. Okay, so talking on the repetitive side, I'm not even gonna lie. I was playing Dead by Daylight, and my dad was just don't you get like bored? Like it's like the same thing. But the thing is like, yes, it's the same gameplay. Like the concept is the same, but each game's going to be different because you don't know what killer you're gonna get. If you're playing a survivor, you don't know what killer you're gonna get, and then your team comp as survivor can always be different, and you can always do something different. Some survivors pair really well with each other, so y'all can do that. You can, I don't know, you can go a stun comp if you want to. Just have stun team, bully squad, do whatever you want. So the game's gonna always be different, though. The matches will always be different. Killer be polluted. Now you're forced to transition way more often than if it were to be someone like a banshee. So, what do you think, Ancient?
When it comes, well, it is the same game over and over again.
Yeah.
But like when people complain about repetitiveness, I don't think they can actually like complain too much because the game by like a lot of games are just the same thing, like Call of Duty and whatnot.
Right. You know what? That's a good point. A lot of games are just repetitive in general. So it's like if you don't want repetitiveness, go play a story game. But like the only thing that won't be like, yeah, I just go play a story game. Really, if you don't want like if you don't want stuff like that, go play platformer. Go do any of that stuff if you don't want the repetitiveness. Because to be honest, most of the games nowadays are the same thing. Overwatch, same thing. Like first person shooters, same thing all the time. Gonna always be the same thing. Asymmetricals, depending on like it's always going to be the same thing over and over. Like the survive games, like the survive the killers, murder mystery, stuff like that, they're always going to be the same thing. It's always going to be the same at the end of the day. So but
Yeah.
you
So
still choose to sit there and play it, and you're finding fun out of it regardless. So does it really matter that much that it's repetitive, you know? So yeah, anyways, let me grab the next question. So the next question is by, bitch, I clicked on the wrong fucking one. Here we go. Okay, so the next question says, Nerf Ghost. The agony any Ghost player has caused me isn't funny anymore. She makes me want to violently sob. Oh my goodness. She makes me really, really want to just leave the game, like make her sound radius a little bigger so she can't get me while her light still isn't there while she's silent phasing. Give me some hope of escaping smaller spaces. Well, you are given hope. Um, Ghost literally can't attack for a while after unphasing. I don't.
but I think that's like the dumbest thing ever when people say to nerf Ghost, especially because in like my takes has always been Ghost is not that good. Ghost is like bottom five. Ghost is not good. So like when I see people complain about Ghost, I'm like, why? It doesn't make sense to me.
Like, I don't think people are realizing that she has no chase ability other than her speed and her lunge. And her lunge, it doesn't really last that long.
Yeah,
And
she still gets looped. She still gets
right,
destroyed by all that.
she still volts pretty slow, and so like she, at the end of the day, only thing she has going for her is her silent phase and the mobility to cross all the map at pretty insane speeds. But like asking for like a grace period, you really are given a grace period because I don't know, y'all can, you loading, someone can quote me on that, but if I remember correctly, even after the red tear radius comes up, she still can't attack for like 1 point something seconds, or like
It's
really.
I well, it kind of it's sort of well, it just depends, honestly. Sometimes it happens. It's really kind of inconsistent at the same. It's inconsistent. It's an inconsistent
It's
ability
inconsistent. Okay.
when you unphase because sometimes it takes a while of lunge and you're spamming clicking. Other
And
times you're not.
yeah. Yeah, and the most I can say too is pay attention. And if it's really starting to aggravate you, start making up for your mistakes. You went down by a ghost because she came from what direction? Now you know that other ghost mains could probably potentially come from that direction, or any other ghost player. Focus, look, take more into your scenery. For example, in Recano Woods, up there at the top right, it's in that house up there at the top. I am aware by now that most ghosts are going to go to the back of, like, at the top of the stairs, all the way back there, unfazed, and then walk through there. So I wait for the body to pass through the door so I can leave. Because I'm ready. I'm waiting for her to come because I know she's gonna appear back there. Just
I
look out for
believe
spots.
I believe people that say Ghost needs a nerf just doesn't know how to pay attention. They suck at paying attention.
Yep, that's honestly really fair. Like, you just have to pay attention. It's like the same thing with Stalker. You don't see everybody calling Stalker broken, but Stalker basically does the same thing as a stealth phase. So I don't really get it why anyone's trying to change it up. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into our next one. So our next take says, okay, so here's my hot take. So I'm not vibing with Star Eater's design. It literally looks like they took a random Genshin character and Robloxified it. It just, it's not giving for me.
Yeah, it's just another preference thing. You don't like it, that's on you.
Yeah, I think,
Other
yeah,
people may
this
do
is
at the
just
same time.
more, yeah, preference, more of a preference hot take than, I mean, again, personally, I like his design. I think it matches with the entire ability and passive ability. I think those matches up pretty well. I wouldn't change
Yeah.
it. I really wouldn't change nothing about it, to be honest. So,
Yeah, it
it,
does look good.
yeah. So coming from Mike again, it says people undermine the value of Audriana a lot. I used to think that she wasn't all of that, but now I think she's kind of good. She can gen rush safely because of her perk, and her gen rushing capabilities are not too bad. Sarah is obviously better than her in this role, but Audrey can at least loop unlike her and get away if needed. To cause her and get away if needed, and she has, the opening locker silently. Of course, any experienced killer would probably open the locker if Audrey was in chase, but still, I think that she is good, and she has a really good way of looping. Also, I'm aware that there are better survivors who can do a certain aspect of Audriana better. Sarah can gen rush safely, others can looping for looping, but she's good because of the fact that she can do these aspects together. She low key is underrated in my opinion.
Adriana is underrated. I mean,
I Here's my thing. I can see it. It's just you barely get to see the full potential of her because nobody really plays her perk because it's kind of boring in my opinion. I mean, it's not necessarily boring, but you have to stand still to do it when there's just like other undetectable perks that I would
I
prefer. Like
mean, I be playing Adriana a lot.
and the gen rushing, that's true. She can do gens pretty safely. Honestly, like I think she can do them pretty safely because you want to treat her like you want to mostly treat any undetectable as if they're Sarah and just not work on a gen with them altogether. So she can do it pretty
Mm.
safely. You did the locker. Now the locker juking, that's common on her. Like you can easily leave an area without leaving an area because they're not gonna always expect you because you don't breathe unless it's like a really high up killer and they obviously are aware that you are probably somewhere in there. You don't breathe in the locker. You are undetectable while in the locker. You open the locker silently. So in like a lot of spots, you can simply just juke them out by hopping in a locker, especially if they're an inexperienced killer. So she does definitely have the chase too, because she has like 8 speed, right? Am I right? Is it 8 speed? I don't remember.
Yeah, she has 8 speed with 6 stamina.
Yeah, so she has pretty
Her
days. So
chase ability is pretty good.
it's pretty good. I would still say Sarah's a little bit better than that, but it's still pretty good. Basically she does what the top undetectables do. But I guess if you want an all arounding undetectable, she'd be your way to go. She'd be the one you want to pick, to be honest. Like if you
Yeah.
just want something pretty simple to get into, she'd be the one you want to pick. And if you get good at predicting the killer's abilities, you can treat her like what's it, Sanjana, and just stand still. And I'm pretty sure she can counter Ghost perk too.
Yeah,
By
she counters Ghost perk when heals.
so you can do that. So I will agree that she's pretty underrated. I wouldn't say that she's the best, but I would say that she definitely is a lot better than people make her out to be. She deserves a little bit more love for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
All right. So the next one it says another hot take. But as a Kora main, I find her to be a little useless. I don't know, but I feel like Gabriella is a bit better than Kora. But I don't know, probably a skill issue. I feel in certain situations, here's my thing. As a Kora main, you should never be running into the killer. You would be surprised how often I do not run into the killer. I've been playing Kora since Daybreak 1, and I do not run into the killer often at all when playing Kora. You need to use her perk for the intel that you are given at the current moment. And now with the recent change that, Ancient likes to call the trepidation change, now with the recent change, you can now focus certain gens. If your Sarah is not your Sarah, but let's say your Kiara is working on a gen all the way over there and it's getting close to being done, and you have a Parker working on a gen pretty close over here, but it's not almost done. You can now go focus the Kiara one because you can go focus the QR one because it's closer to being done, and you can get your perk a lot faster, and you can help her out. You also know exactly where she's at because it gives exact information. You know exactly who's what, when, and where. You can know whose perks got what, when, and where. So her information is the best form of information in the game. On top of that, she can keep track of killers regardless. No killer can hide from her tracking. Now with Gabriella, the experiment and ghost can hide from her tracking, as well as her tracking isn't necessarily always the best because you don't know where the killer's at. You just know how close they are to you, but you don't know exactly where they're at. And on top of that, you don't know your teammates and where your teammates are at. Now, there are times where I would say Gabriella is much better than Kora, for sure. There are definitely times where Gabriella can come in much more clutch than Kora will. For example, Gabriella already can off the rip tell you what killer it is if it goes question mark, you know. Uh, and she doesn't need to finish gens for her to have her perk. So if you want constant info, you can pick her. But if you want exact and better info, you can pick Kora. I feel like at the end of the day, they're the same person with just two different perks. Like their perks are basically the same, but just work differently.
Yeah,
Where
but I will say what the one thing that Gab is better than Korra at is definitely when it comes to XP.
oh yeah,
Gab
100%.
is definitely a XP farm when it
If you
compares to
want
Korra.
EXP, if you want EXP, definitely go with Gabriella. Gabriella all the way. Don't pick Kora. Kora's not the XP farming person. But if you want that EXP, yes, definitely, bro. Because the amount of XP I've gotten, oh, that was that was too funny. All right, so that's my opinion on it. I think they honestly share a spot. If you were to ask me, I feel like they really are sharing. It just depends on what you want at the end of the day. What do you want? Because good Gabs do not run into the killer either. Trust and believe. I've had times where I've come across good Gabs and it has been so annoying. So good Gabs can be annoying just as much as good Koras. You just gotta play your cards right. So getting into our last hot take, it says here, people who think the Daybreak community is toxic have never been in a Roblox game community in their life. Example, Combat Warriors, Sweat. All right. So I will agree that when it comes to toxicity, they're not comparing to any of these anime games up there or fighting games at all. They're not comparing at all. Um, but drama worthy, they literally built their own name. So I think when people say toxicity, I don't even really think they're referring to the toxicity. I genuinely think they're just referring to the drama that's been based around the community 90% of the time. Because if someone in the game is sitting there calling me trash or whatever, I don't care. Honestly, if anything, I'm gonna just take that as let's get more competitive. That's all I'm gonna take it
Yeah,
as.
I don't take offense by people calling me trash or calling me names in game
Like,
because hey,
honestly, if
most
you
of the
do that,
time I'm spamming them. So like, cry more.
like, no, for real, like if you do that to me, and then I show you something, hey, that's the better part. All right, I don't really care. You can trash talk me all you want in a game. Honestly, I feel that's more fun because that makes me want to try better. That makes me want to work better. So go ahead, have fun at that. But when it comes to the drama now, yeah, no, they'll do anything to, and I swear they be sometimes searching for it. Literally, with the recent video that I made, people who understood the contents of the video understood. The people who didn't. And you could really tell the people who didn't and the people who really did.
Oh yeah,
There was
most
a whole
definitely.
there was a whole bunch of people. I found it funny too because when I made my statement too, I saw that there was a whole bunch of people that weren't who didn't even know who I was who agreed with my statement, which is the
Mhm.
crazy part. They didn't know at all who I was, but they agreed with what I said. You just gotta understand. Most people who watch me by now know that I was speaking with just passion in that video. That was not no anger, no hatred, none of that stuff. So I will say that they will do anything to search for drama with anybody or anything. They'll do anything. I think the biggest problem is they just saw that Ancient was in that video and they gonna see he's in this one too and it's gonna think it's a problem. But at the end of the day, literally, there's nothing going
Even
on.
even if I'm not saying
Like,
like anything, if I didn't bring, I wonder if they would have like had a problem if I just didn't bring in up the content creator situation as like an example. At the end of the day, it was an example of the main point, and people just didn't look at the point. They just went straight and be like, "Hey, he said this, blah, get on that." Like, no, that was not
yeah,
the point. If you
and
watch
it,
the
yeah,
video,
literally.
you could see it was an example for the point. But people
People
selective
like, yeah,
hearing.
just people just focused on the fact that he was in it, listened to what he was saying and yada yada, and then tried to twist what I was saying around too. Yeah, no. So the community just, they don't know how to first, they don't know how to let certain things go. They also don't know how to keep themselves out of drama because there's a new drama every single day, at the every single moment. I swear, literally
Yeah.
and literally not that long ago there was a drama too, talking about when I was talking about how I just said, there's not a lot of straight. I mean, like, there's not a lot of straight characters in the game, and I just,
Mm.
like, realistically, it just didn't make sense. A lot of people took that as, oh, I don't want no gay characters in the game, yada yada. Bro, I'm literally
That is like
pansexual. Y'all,
that
I
that
don't
doesn't make
care.
sense. I
Right,
remember,
like,
yeah, because I'm pretty sure early in my days of playing Daybreak, I like, you know, I had a take where it's like, damn, there's a lot of gay characters in the game. I said I made a joke. It's Dead by Daylight, but gay.
right.
Because like the majority, that's what it was. The majority of the characters were part of the LGBTQ community. Did I have a problem with it? No. If I were to go into the lore, I probably would have had an issue when it comes to the reputation because of what other I'm hearing. Like people were saying, oh, like when it comes to the relationships, they dabble too much in the relationships rather than the actual plot of the story, which is
Exactly.
people going into a mist and then they gotta survive. That's like the plot of the story. And then when it comes to like their backstories, it's from what I hear at least, because I don't know about lore. I hear a lot of people talk about like, oh, there's just always shipping, always relationship. Like, I
Hmm.
don't think that's really relevant to a story of this caliber. I really
Exactly.
don't
It's
think.
not. And so when I saw people like trying to say, like, I remember someone was like, I hope he knows that gay characters have always been in asymmetrical horror games. That's not my point. That wasn't my point.
Yeah,
I'm aware of that. I'm okay with that. I never said I had a problem with it. Again, I panned my fucking self. My thing is just why is it a problem though every time someone mentions it? Because I found out, because it's not even straight people. When people ask for Arrow Ace representation, it also seems to become a problem. And forget the representation. You guys can say whatever, but I'm gonna say it, the only real good form of representation we have in here is just the different cultures. Because it seems that every character is either gay, lesbian, or bisexual. What about any of the other sexualities? We only have one omnisexual. We have only one autosexual. We have, like, what, two or four, like, pansexuals. Like, there's, like, can we indulge in some of the other ones? Because I'm sure more people would want more of their stuff. And on top of that, I don't even think we have a lot of, like, the other um genders that people identify as, gender identities, as
I think
a
there's
lot of
one
people
trans.
identify as.
No, one. No, two trans people, Serena
Because,
and
yeah,
Taylor.
because they, and what I find crazy is that when you did the pride code, right, there was a whole bunch of flags for other gender identities, and I'm just like, you support them, but you don't have any characters under this, like, category. So if you're aware that there's potentially people who play your game like this, why not try and reach out to them then, since you want to do all that? That's all I'm really saying. It's just like, can we just get more forms of the representation? Like, there's, y'all act like there aren't straight allies who play y'all's game too. Let Add some straight allies. That's all I was saying. But
I think mainly they don't dabble into that many. So, well, this is coming from a straight guy that doesn't know much about the community or anything like that. I'm just from what I see, I'm getting the assumption that they would rather have certain sexualities so they can then use them in their shippings or fanfics or whatever the case may be.
I
Because
guess
they
so. It
don't.
makes sense. Yeah.
I'm guessing that they don't have many. What you said, Arrow Ace. I think Arrow Ace is
Yeah.
what you're not attracted to nobody.
Yeah. You're not
So,
attracted to
and
nobody.
since if that's the case, I think that they don't want that many characters because they're really into their like relationships. They want to have fanfics. They want to ship people.
Right.
And if they have more arrow ace or people that just don't deal with relationships, they're not gonna like those characters as much because they're I don't know if it's a fetish or some like weird sort of thing that they like or into, but they too much relationship, too many relationships for a game like this.
Yeah. Just It's just a
That's my
lot.
that's my take. That's my take.
So yeah, I will. So when it comes to drama, 100%, they're like,
Yeah,
they match. But
drama overrating, bro.
toxicity, toxicity, nah, not really.
They
Especially
say
in
they
this
try
game.
to. It's kind of hypocritical at the same time when it comes to like the toxicity. Like Yeah, they're mainly known for drama, but when it comes to toxicity, it's hypocritical because like they don't want to be
Yeah.
toxic, and then what happens?
And they go and say that stuff. Like literally, y'all don't understand the half of it. Us literal high up players get attacked just because we're high level at the game. Literally, not that long ago, didn't someone literally told Prekeeper to stop his life. So because just for
Wait,
what
really?
reason? Yes, literally, and he sent the picture. You can go ask him for it. Somebody literally told Prekeeper to stop it all. Just stop it all. I'm like, oh, it's y'all. It's never that serious. So but it's not something that we haven't heard before at this rate. To be honest, we've heard it all. So yeah, the
Yeah, most
toxicity
definitely.
doesn't match to any of them games, 100%. But drama, yeah. But that's all. That was all the hot takes. It's not gonna be as long as they normally are, primarily to make this easier for editing for me guys. But again, give it up for Ancient for being on here. Whoa, whoa,
Thank
whoa,
you for
whoa.
having me. Appreciate
All
it.
right. And that'll be all of it. So hope you guys enjoyed and have a lovely day. Peace out.